Hey everybody, it's Lucas.
And this is Mickey.
And this is Thanks for Playing, the podcast where we break down the most iconic video games the world has to offer. And today is going to be a super awesome episode. It's myself and Hot Mickey.
I'm so excited.
If you clicked on it, you know that we're talking about Hollow Knight, a game that we've been talking about in the Discord quite a bit. A game that a lot of people know that we both love. A game that we actually just released some content on that Mickey's been streaming. It's been quite a journey playing Hollow Knight recently. But before we get to that, Mickey, Otani's a Dodger. It's great. It's just awesome. I just love watching it. I just was watching right before.
And the little gambling fiasco hasn't.
No, he didn't do it. He didn't do it at all. I know we talked about it on the last podcast episode. I do want to reiterate that he did not do it. And the investigation will probably just find more so that he did not do it. I will say, Mickey, I know you're a huge Angels fan.
I am.
I'm a Dodgers fan. I think mostly we're Dodger-oriented podcast here.
We definitely are. I'm definitely like the lone wolf.
Okay. Where was Otani in the lineup? Was he second? He wasn't leading off, right?
No. He led off a few times, but he was mainly second.
Okay, he's second on the Dodger lineup, and it's pretty insane. Like the 4 or 5 hitters. I mean, 3 MVPs, 1, 2, and 3 on the Dodger lineup is just crazy.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3 is fucking nasty.
The 1, 2, 3 punch is really fun to watch. So I caught the game yesterday during Easter with my family. I had the game on before we hit record here. But I just want to say I'm excited. It's just such a great time to be a Dodger fan. And I'm sorry, Mickey, Mike Trout is still goated. Absolutely goated.
Yep. He's winning MVP this season.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt it. He's on pace for like 100 home runs. Are there some? It's like he hit 1 home run on the first game, and it was like he's on pace for 162 home runs.
Yeah, let's see.
Good joke.
He's got 3 home runs in 4 games. So I don't know what the math is on that.
That's
across 162 games.
That's 75% of his games he's hitting a home run. So 75% of 162. It's quite a bit of home runs.
Quite a bit of home runs.
Yeah, easily would set the record there. Well, Mickey, I want to dive into something even more exciting here. Somehow more exciting, which is the world of Hollow Knight. Before we get to that, okay, I just want to shout out our buddy Matthew, who got me this old-fashioned cocktail, pre-mixed cocktail. It's such a special occasion with Hollow Knight. I'm actually drinking. I poured it up. Okay, this is a special moment. We are clinking here to talk about one of my favorite games.
Tell me, I would have gone.
Grab yourself something, baby. Grab some Kool-Aid with some vodka in it. I'll keep the people busy while you get out.
I have some whiskey. Fuck
okay, grab some whiskey. I'll just go ahead and take this opportunity then to introduce the game while Hot Mickey goes and grabs his whiskey for the celebratory moment. Hollow Knight, the 2017 independent game, truly indie game, developed by Team Cherry, available on all major platforms, including Nintendo Switch, Steam, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, with awesome downloadable content that I recommend everybody check out. 9.4 out of 10 from IGN, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid, a really, really, really solid 90 out of 100 on Metacritic, the Metroidvania Hollow Knight. I love this game so much. I'm just going to come out and say it. I can't hide my excitement for this podcast recording. I cannot hide. I'm sure people could hear me smiling on this if we put the recording out on YouTube. I'm just completely giddy and grinning ear to ear just to talk about this video game. And we're kind of doing a lot of video games these days. We're doing StarCraft in the near future. I'm playing Death Stranding currently. Also, really great game. Excited to talk about that in the future. But Hollow Knight was a game that I have just been waiting till the moment where I forget enough details of the world where I could experience it again. It's just one of these games where I am so jealous of the people that get to experience it for the first time, because I think there's so much joy in playing this game for the first time. I think a game like this comes out once in a generation, maybe once a decade. Hollow Knight is seriously one of the best games I've ever played. I've played a lot of games, people. We've done 100 games for this podcast. I've played hundreds of games before Hollow Knight. I'll play 100 games after it. It lives rent-free in my head nearly every single day. And playing it on this most recent playthrough, which was my second and a half. I've done like a playthrough and a half. This was my second full playthrough. It was just an absolute joy. Michael, you are back with your whiskey.
I am back. This is a Christmas present. This is a Glenfiddich 15-year-old aged.
Ooh, 15 years.
Yes.
That's 15 more years than my Bullet old-fashioned premix cocktail. Okay.
Yeah, and I have this fancy box. Oh wait, I left it over there. That it came with that has my name on it, and it even has my name on this one too.
Oh wow. That is nice, Mickey.
Oh, it's mirrored in the camera for me. Oh, son of a bitch.
ESPN notifications popping off. Did Mike Trout hit another home run?
No, USC women's basketball is playing in the top 8 right now.
Oh, top 8, right.
Or
the men's
4.
is in Final Four.
Yeah.
Right?
The women's are like narrowing down to top 4, I think today.
Gotcha. Dang, so USC men's and women's are going to be Final Four, potentially.
No. Men's, they didn't even make the tournament.
Wait, what? I thought they were in top 16.
USC was not even in the tournament.
Oh man, I looked at
that was last season.
Okay, got it.
Were
well, pour your whiskey out, and while you're doing so, please tell us your initial thoughts here on Hollow Knight, which I've already dove into myself.
So I first played Hollow Knight about 4 years ago. 4 years ago to May 10th is when I finished my first playthrough of Hollow Knight, which ended off on I was streaming beating Radiance. I was trying to beat the game before Mother's Day. I ended up staying up all night long, and it got up to like 7 a.m. on Mother's Day. I was like, I literally can't. I basically can't keep going. I have to go to my Mother's Day. This is literally the last run, and I beat it on that last run.
Nice.
And I also recorded how many times I died through that playthrough. I'm not sure if I told you the number, what it was, but it was 359 times that I died.
That's a lot. That's a lot. You died quite a bit less on this playthrough. This most recent playthrough.
Significantly less.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
If I didn't try to 100% it, I probably would have gotten it under 30. But a lot of my deaths came from the Coliseum and what was the other one that had
the Pantheon?
No, I'm not counting. When I beat Radiance, that's when I cut it off.
That's when you... Okay, I got you.
I cut that one off at 1 or 2 because I'm not done with the Pantheon playthrough. I only beat one of the Pantheons so far of 5, I think there are.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to... I think I added like another 30 deaths when I was doing the Pantheons.
Yeah.
But
what made you pick up Hollow Knight in the first place? Like, why did you decide to play it 4 years ago?
I had several friends that like raved about it the whole time. They just keep pressuring me over and over and over to play it, and I just eventually caved in. It was on sale. It had a Steam sale going on. I'm like, what? This is the time to do it. So I'm gonna go buy it. Start playing it, and I was hooked. It's actually my very first Metroidvania I've ever played.
That's crazy, dude.
That's probably the reason why I had so many deaths, because I was not familiar with the format.
Well, you picked a really good... Honestly, you probably played the best Metroidvania. In my opinion, the best Metroidvania that's ever been designed, ever been made, is Hollow Knight. And, so we'll kind of get it out of the way. I mean, for those of you that know zero about Hollow Knight, it is a 2D exploration-based adventure game. A lot of people call it... Well, the genre is Metroidvania. It's a genre that is based off of the Metroid series or the Castlevania series, where you explore a giant world that's interconnected, tons of bosses, lots of sequence breaking, lots of ability unlocks, sometimes optional endings, secret endings, and secret pathways and things like that. A genre that is very, very near and dear to my heart, a genre that I absolutely adore. And I've played a lot. I think Hollow Knight is seriously right up there as the best one. And Mickey, I know you can't say too much on that point right there, but trust me, it's seriously amazing. I did hear that the new Prince of Persia is amazing as well. The thing about Hollow Knight that's really cool is it is also very difficult. A lot of people call this like the Souls-like Metroidvania, like a Souls game meets a Metroidvania genre, because it is challenging. It is very dark. The story and the world of Hollow Knight, which we'll get into in a few sections here, is intentionally very ambiguous, mysterious, and it's not all explained to you. You actually have to piece a lot together, which
I wouldn't call it ambiguous, but I would call it's very vague on how it explains it. Right. So like you have to do like a lot of digging to actually get a lot of the lore.
Watch some YouTube videos on it is what I did.
Yes, I also did.
Yeah, which I'm really, really excited to talk about. I played this game for the first time a year before you, Mickey. It was like April or May of like 2019. I was actually still living in Las Vegas at the time. And, you know, at the time, I was just, I don't know. Well, actually, I wanted to ask you this, Mickey.
Yes.
Are you like, you know, we play single player games on this podcast. We're in a constant cycle of playing games. Have you, since you first started gaming as a wee lad, have you always been constantly playing through a game? Like, has there always been a single player game that you've been trying to beat while you've been going on through your life, is what I'm trying to ask.
I wouldn't say I'd always been going through like a single player game. But if you're leaning enough with the definition, I would say yes. Mainly it's because I've always been into like multiplayer games and trying to like be the best. Like when I really stopped playing single player games, that's like I really got into like
StarCraft.
Modern Warfare 2.
Gotcha.
Growing up in middle school, just spammed the hell out of that and TF2. And then once I got to high school, that's when I really got into like esports and really got into competitive gaming and learned about like the greater esports area. And that pretty much StarCraft 2 changed my life essentially. And
so you've always been gaming.
I've always been gaming. Yes. I've always been gaming and always been grinding like a single game. Yeah. Whether it's a single player game or a multiplayer game, I've just always been grinding because I'm also like a bit of completionist. Like if you've like seen my streams, like I'm trying to 100%, 112%.
112%. Yeah.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I pretty much resonate with everything you just said. I think for the most part, though, it's always been like, there's always been at least a single player game I'm playing. Like, I remember when, you know, from different times in my life, like when I first moved back to California for college, I said, okay, what's the first game I'm going to dive into? Like, am I going to pick up an old game? Am I going to find something from like GameStop that I want to play? Is that whiskey pretty tough?
Oh yeah.
I saw that face. Anyway, I've always been on a constant cycle of playing a game, which is why one of the reasons why I started, or me and Matt started TFP, was like, hey, we're constantly playing these games anyway. Might as well put together a podcast where we get to talk about the games that we're playing, right? And at this time in my life, when I first played Hollow Knight, I actually wasn't really gaming that much. I wasn't playing a lot of multiplayer games at the time. I wasn't really playing single player games. I was just working a ton. I was super busy living in Vegas. I was traveling a lot during 2019, a lot of business travel for my job. And, you know, I was kind of having anxiety. I was sad. I was just like alone in a city that I didn't really know a ton of people. And then I'm looking at the eShop on the Switch and I just see Hollow Knight. And I said, oh, you know what? I heard about this game. I heard it's cool. I know it's a Metroidvania, which I love. Picked it up, like did not put it down for a couple of months. Played it completely end to end, brought my Switch everywhere I went. On my lunch breaks, I went to my car in the parking lot and just played Hollow Knight. Like on the planes when I was traveling for business, Hollow Knight, you know, like I was trying to figure out how I could play more Hollow Knight every single minute at work, you know? And I think that like the thing about the game is its ability to, and this is the same thing I have with Elden Ring or Souls games in general, it just has this way of pulling you in and it's so hard to pull yourself away. Like if you're if you're curious, if you're interested in exploration, if you love a unique and completely original world, this game is so generous. And generous is like the word I really like to use a lot when it comes to...
I think that's a great way of putting it for this game.
Yeah, and generous is like a word I reserve for like a work of art, like a movie or a TV show or a book that just has so much that you can feel in your heart that the creators were throwing every single idea and they did not let up when it came to what they could do for you in this game. And like Team Cherry, Hollow Knight. It's a game that is so big, it just keeps getting bigger as you play it. It just keeps getting more interesting. There's more to learn. It's even a very speed runnable game, so there's a lot of people doing really interesting things with the game, pushing it to its limits. And for obsession based type people like us, I think this game is really perfect.
It really is perfect. Like, I think it's so cool how there's like no specific set order you have to do anything in Hollow Knight. Like, you're just free to roam around with just whatever you find, and like it'll help you progress the story. Like, there's no certain order you have to do it in. You're free to just explore the world and not worry about like, oh, did I miss something here? Did I miss something here? Because like it just naturally leads you along the way, no matter like what order you did them. And it's incredible, which it does risk to like becoming lost at times. Like I will
in a good way.
It is in a good way, because like I love roaming around the map. Like it's so cool. Every area is just gorgeous and like so unique too. Just seeing all like the cool creatures that are in each territory, and
the music
is awesome.
Like, we'll talk about that more too. Mm-hmm. Well, let's dive into story and world. Okay, our first segment on today's episode. I'll start first. So for those of you, again, who have never played the game and you're booting it up for the first time,
or even if you have played it,
it's a very simple setup at the very beginning of the game. You are a small kind of bug-like creature called the Knight, and the first part of the game, you just walk through a cave and go to a town, and you're not quite sure what exactly is going on, but you know that there's some sort of underground kingdom called Hallownest, and something about it is amiss. Like, the kingdom is either gone or gone to ruin, or there's been some sort of great cataclysm that has brought this kingdom to basically destroyed it, essentially, which is a setup that's actually pretty common in a lot of Souls games. A great kingdom, some sort of apocalyptic cataclysmic event, perhaps a curse, befalls the entire kingdom, and that's the Kingdom of Hallownest, sort of an empty shell of a kingdom that's dying. And you are a small little knight that is exploring this kingdom. And it's all, and this hit me so well the first time, Mickey. It's all underground. It's just like this massive underground system of tunnels, of cities, of greenhouses and graveyards and basins and like primordial energy and souls and like enemies and civilizations like long gone. And it is the eternal kingdom of Hallownest. Before I go into the lore, I do want to say that it's all spoilers from here on out. Absolutely. If that hasn't been clear. But Mickey, what do you think of the story and the lore and the world of Hollow Knight?
I think it's so cool because like you can just see like the devastation of Hallownest and like what a great kingdom it used to be. And you're it's like hard to distinguish who is actually right here? Like, what kind of kingdom was this? Was this like a dictatorship? Was this a market? Like, it's really hard to tell. Like, were the citizens actually good under this rule? Like, why did it lead to devastation? Like, it leaves you wondering, like, how did this kingdom fall to ruin? Yeah. And it's so cool how like it ends up being like a fight versus light and dark essentially, but like the roles are reversed.
Yes.
Because like it like since like Hallownest is primarily underground, like they're more akin to the dark, and it's all about like being away from the light, and then the light is what's like being contagious throughout the rest of Hallownest. And it's so cool how like they flipped the roles of light versus dark in this game.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. The overall bug theme, I think, is the most original thing I've seen in a video game in so long. Like, the fact that Hollow Knight is like, it's kind of like a high fantasy type of setting. You know, there's knights, there's kings, there's queens, there's guards, there's like a city. It's got magic elements to it. It's very high fantasy, right? It's very similar to a Souls game in that regard, or like Elden Ring or Bloodborne or something like that. But what makes Hollow Knight different is it's got this whole bug skin all over it, where the whole kingdom is entirely underground. You're a bug. Everybody you meet, all the bosses you fight, everyone's a bug. There are bees, there are spiders. There's like, what else, Mickey? I mean, they're
like fly-like things, worms.
Yeah, worms and everything like that. And like, The lore of Hollow Knight is, and Mickey, I'm gonna try my best with the lore. I watched like a ton of lore videos. So the Pale King is the like eternal king of Hallownest, the ruler and the founder of the kingdom, and he was born out of a worm.
Yes,
is like the lore. So like, there's at one point in the game, you just go to like this giant husk of a dead Alaskan bullworm looking thing, and you walk inside of it, and there's like
wasn't native to this land. Like he came to this land and then he was born from this worm.
Yeah, and the setup for Hollow Knight 2 is that there are these like primordial gods that also exist that sort of predate the kingdom. So there's like worms, there's like basic just primordial ooze in the very, very bottom of the like of Hallownest, in this like black ooze. There's the Radiance, which is like the last boss of the game that you fight if you get the super secret or the secret ending. Anyway, the Pale King was a figure born out of a worm, and he meets with the White Lady, who becomes his queen, and they basically create intelligence into the bugs of Hallownest, because bugs are just mindless bug creatures. You actually meet quite a bit of like mindless bugs who are not like intelligent like you. Like a lot of bugs talk. They actually have thoughts and feelings. They're basically human beings, but you meet a lot of bugs that are just straight up bugs, like mindless, crawly, creepy things. And the Pale King and the White Lady created a kingdom and had an eminence about them that basically brought intelligence to bugs and created humanity within the bugs of Hallownest and the City of Tears, which is like their main kind of capital city inside the kingdom. I think already it's a super sick setup. I mean, it's got like everything you want. It's got everything you want. It's super cool. And basically what ends up happening is through the story, this is all before you even walk onto the scene as the knight, there was an infection that came about that infected the minds of all of the citizens of Hallownest. What's it called? Is it... I forget. I think they just call it the infection.
Right? I think it is just an infection, but it pretty much like reverts the bugs back to the like mindlessness, exactly.
Yeah, and the infection shows itself in the form of like kind of reddish orangish ooze that like it starts infecting the world of the game, and this infection is like basically conquering the minds of all the bugs and ruining the entire kingdom. So in order to combat it, the king and the queen have a bunch of kids. And then, since they're bugs, they have thousands and thousands and thousands of kids. You're one of those kids. You're one of the like descendants of the king and the queen, as like their attempt to actually create a hollow vessel that could absorb the infection.
The radiance. Absorb radiance. They were trying to create an offspring that was mindless,
completely void.
The theory was that because the radiance's power, it infect the mind and then try to twist them into doing what it wants it to do. But so the theory was if they put the radiance into a vessel that didn't have a mind, it would be completely sealed.
That's right. There also is like in this Hollow Knight world, there also are souls. There also is like a literal thing of a soul. And there also is like a dream world that people can go in and out of. So that plays like a role later. Essentially, the king and the queen create thousands of kids, have thousands of eggs at the bottom of what's called the Ancient Basin, which is like an area of the game that you can go to, which has a bunch of primordial ooze in it, basically voidness, nothingness, in an attempt to create that vessel that Mickey's talking about. That vessel is the Hollow Knight. One of the bosses in the game. In fact, the second to last boss, technically. And the Hollow Knight is basically you. It's what you were, a vessel that was meant to absorb the infection that was affecting the entire kingdom. But he wasn't completely empty due to his feelings of son-father feelings for the Pale King himself. So there was a flaw within the original vessel, the Hollow Knight, which then you have to go destroy and replace. Is essentially the story of Hollow Knight as you go through it. Did I miss anything, Mickey?
I think you pretty much like got the basics of the lore down, like how everything came out to be. Oh yeah, and then another big part of it is the Dreamers, how they use the Dreamers to pretty much like finish the seal on the Hollow Knight, essentially, because they had to seal the Hollow Knight, and so they asked 3 of their like high officials to like become to go into an eternal sleep in order to seal the Hollow Knight and Radiance So and then one of the dreamers, which is the one in Deep Nest,
Hera the Beast.
She had a condition to become this. Is that she needed a child, and that ends up becoming Hornet.
Right.
So that's where Hornet comes from, and then she's like one of the people who like starts off as like a bad guy, but she just doesn't trust you. Every time you run into her, but like after like you beat her a couple times and sees what she's done, it's like, okay, if you're really strong enough after you beat her like the last time that you can fight her, she'll lead you to the deep basin in order to like get the both halves of the crests in order to get I forget what the item's called once they combine into each other, but
the King Soul or something.
Yeah, and then like once you do once you see your memories of like being created and seeing the memories of the Hollow Knight getting out of the basin, it turns black, and then like you now have like that the King's
you get an actual
crest,
weapon kind of. You get like a charm.
The King's Crest turns into like a black charm.
Void Heart. Is it the Void Heart? I think
it's called the Void Heart.
Yeah. So basically, the Hollow Knight story is awesome. I mean, it's just like it's really cool because again, like I said, it's got that whole like high fantasy vibe to it. It's got kings and queens, but it's also like about primordial like gods that are kind of like infecting the world of the living. It's bugs. It's all bugs. Like I just love bugs now. Like it's just like just when you think you realize, I guess when I was playing, this is what really blew me away about the world was like, oh yeah, like the king like came from some sort of primordial worm that like gave birth to him. Like in a world that's about primordial gods and high fantasy, the worm would be the primordial being in this universe, a massive worm underground that like is a husk somewhere. And, you know, I just love that they managed to fit all this kind of stuff in. Oh, yeah. And then the last boss, because we're all bugs and we love the darkness and we live underground, the last boss is a moth, like that's trying to bring light to this world. And light is the enemy. And yeah, like when you fight the boss, you're fighting it in like the sky, essentially, in this like dream world sky thing. And it's amazing. And you kill him with darkness. It's awesome. Like you said, Mickey, like the total twist of like light versus dark is so cool. Or dark versus light more so.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the opposite of every like fantasy game that like exists, you know, or fantasy type world. It's amazing. Let's dive into game design, Mickey. Let me know your thoughts. How you feel about the game design of Hollow Knight?
I love the game design. Like it lends itself to such like a desire for mastery of the movement, the combat, like how you dodge attacks, how you fit your attacks into like each enemy. It just all feels so natural on like how to move about, and like there's such a high skill floor in order to be able to like do everything you want to do. And I'll even forget like some of my abilities. Like I never like do like the soul shout thing.
Oh, dude, you're supposed to. That's the pro play.
I know because I know you're supposed to, but like I just forget about it because like I just loved moving around and like hitting him with my nail.
Yeah.
Like it's just so fun to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Incredible combat. I mean, just tons of movement. It's actually, I was reading that the movement is actually very much based on Mega Man X. The knight himself, your character, has no acceleration. He's kind of he's either going the walking speed or not going the walking speed. So he's very like easy to control. He turns on a dime. He can completely control himself in the air. You get dashes, you get a wall jump, you get a double jump, you get all the traditional like moves that you
and then you can refresh resources by just like swinging your nail down onto like some objects that lets you bounce up and refresh your resources.
Yes,
so cool.
Yeah, you could reset your jump, you can reset a bunch of stuff in the game. And the other thing that's interesting too is like the healing mechanic in the game is super cool too. It's basically you have a resource called soul. Whenever you attack enemies, you get more soul, and soul is how you heal. You do need to sit still for a little bit in order to get a heal off. You know, it's not like Zelda necessarily, like the energy meter. You just have a certain amount of hits you can take, period. So you have like 4 hits you could take or 5 hits you could take. And once you get those 5 hits, you're dead. But you can heal one of those energy meters, one of those bars back by using a healing spell by sitting still and using up soul as your resource.
Yeah, it takes up like you have like a big circle of soul, and it takes like about like a third of your soul to use like any of your abilities, and like healing's one of them. So like every full thing of soul you have, you can generate three health essentially.
Right. But you do have to stand still, which like every boss is like designed to kind of for you to play around your healing, play around your spells. And it's cool because soul as a mechanic, you get it by attacking enemies. You get it by hitting them. So there becomes this balance of like you're low on health and you're out of soul. You have to hit the boss in order to get soul. Like you sort of are forced into a corner on a lot of really tough boss fights where in order to heal, you have to hit them. Right. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to hit them because it's really dangerous and you might die. So there just becomes this really great dance, which leads me to my next point. It's a hard game. It's a challenging game.
Very hard game.
But we're gamers. We're good at games. We could beat it, right?
Yeah, I died 102 times by the time I beat Absolute Radiance on my second playthrough.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like a Souls game. It's challenging. I don't think, and I've played some Souls games. We did Elden Ring for the podcast. I'm about halfway through Bloodborne myself. I got to pick it back up again. This game is not as hard as those games either. Mickey, like people will die way more playing Elden Ring than they would dying playing this game.
Absolutely.
I'm absolutely sure that.
I haven't played a Souls game or Elden Ring, but I'm so confident that that's the case as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like you dying 300 times. I mean, I died 1,000 times playing Elden Ring for the first time, and you died 300 times playing this game for the first time. But I will say it is a very, very, very rewarding game. The boss fights, like the way the world is designed, it's not like you're walking a million steps just to get to a boss. Like oftentimes the save point is right next to the boss. The bosses are totally fair when you play them. I didn't think that there was any bosses that were borderline unfair. I thought everybody was just a pattern that you had to learn and some timing games that you had to do.
Well, in my first playthrough, I did think there was some unfairness.
Who was unfair to you? Who did you hate?
That's because I'm stupid and never upgraded my nail.
Okay, yeah.
And it was Fluke Marm. And
he's optional though. Fluke Marm is optional.
Oh, I didn't realize it was optional, but because I just explored anywhere and I just stumbled upon Fluke Marm.
Yeah.
And I have my basic nail trying to fight Fluke Marm. For those who don't know, Fluke Marm is like this big, like cocoon-like disgusting thing. It's so nasty that spits out a bunch of little flying creatures.
Yes, the worst.
Yeah, and it takes like 2-3 hits with the basic nail to kill those things. And there are so many of them. It's so hard to like thwart them all off with the basic nail. So I just died so many times on this fight, and I was so pissed off with it.
Yeah, you were tilted.
And then someone told me, you can upgrade your nail, right? I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
So and then I had like 2 or 3 upgrades like queued up that I was able to do right after that fight.
Yeah, because you had pale ore on you.
Yeah, I had pale ore, and like I think the first 2 required just money.
Yeah.
But yeah, after I did that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then I did on my second playthrough, beat Fluke Marm in literally 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It took 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if you have upgraded nail, it's so easy. If you don't, it's fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, but I think that you not knowing how to upgrade your nails it says more about you than it says about Hollow Knight. Could we say that?
I just didn't explore it. I just hadn't explored it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
No. I'm saying like it definitely is my fault, but I just hadn't gotten to that part of the map yet.
No, fair.
And I didn't know because there is a sign that just has a nail with.
I know it's like tells you where you upgrade your nail at certain places in the game. For everybody that doesn't know, your nail is like your sword. In the world of Hollow Knight, it's called a nail. There are nail masters. There's a nail smith. Also, really cool stuff about the world. The nail masters, they're sick.
They're so cool.
You beat them on stream, too.
I did beat them. I beat 2 of the brothers on stream.
Yeah. Is the third Pantheon 3 of them at once?
I do not know. I still haven't beaten
God help you if it is.
No, I don't think it's 3 of them at once. Though I do know you fight others of the Nail Masters. Like the artist I know is one of the bosses.
Mm-hmm.
The reformed nail master into artist.
Oh, gotcha.
I know he's one of the bosses.
Gotcha. One thing I will say also about the game design is not just the combat, but we talk about it a lot, the exploration side of things. This game is super rewarding. There are tons and tons of secrets. There's basically a secret in every room is the way I think of this game. Like, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. Like every room you walk into, there's like a hidden wall. There is a grub. There is a charm. There's like a relic. There are like shortcuts all through this game that cut through different worlds, that different paths that are all useful.
And then you have certain paths that you need certain abilities in order to bypass them, like being able, like I think it's like Yzma's Tear or something like that lets you go through the acid.
Right,
exactly. That's a big help.
And basically, you know, I think a lot of people when they play these kinds of games like Metroidvanias, I think when I say people, I'm talking about Matt, is the backtracking. People don't like backtracking in games generally. A lot of people don't, and I'm not quite sure why. I think that backtracking in this game is amazing because you completely recontextualize every single room in the game. Like Fog Canyon is kind of an annoying area, but when you get the double jump and the mantis claw, it's like a complete joke. You just run through it.
Yeah.
And like certain areas of the game
and the crossroads just change. Once the infection starts, like it just completely changes.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's actually a world that's kind of evolving as you're moving through it. And then the way you interact with the world is completely different. One of my favorite things, I made a note to talk about it here, is the fungal wastes, which is a mushroom type waste area, like cave. Really cool. One of my favorite areas of the game. When you first get to it, it's a little bit tough to navigate because you're not quite sure how to jump off stuff yet. Like there's these mushrooms that you can kind of use as trampolines. Mm-hmm. But once you have your dash and your double jump and your mantis claw, which lets you jump off walls like Mega Man X style, that whole area is so fun to move around in.
It's actually so fun.
You start feeling insane.
Like hitting off a mushroom and dashing like without getting too much height, so you get the mushroom.
Yes.
And just hitting down and just shooting through the level. It's so fucking fun.
It's so sick.
It's so fun.
And it's cool because it wouldn't work if the first time you went to that zone, it felt like that. Like it has to be slightly annoying for the first time. It's like you don't quite have it yet. But as your ability,
it takes you a bit of time to like navigate through it because like you got to go jump and like try to like time your jumps over so like you don't like land on enemies or like or toxic
toxic
terrain,
gas
toxic
stuff,
terrain, gas spikes, whatever it is.
Yeah, and then so what ends up happening is by the end of the game, not only do you have the abilities to get through that area of the map faster, you have the like knowledge to know where to go to take the quickest path without having to pull out your map every few steps. And you have the skill, like the ability to actually time your jumps correctly, to hit a guy correctly, you have skills, knowledge, and abilities. It's like all three of them kind of combine into making you a really, really great player, which I think is the best, right? Because it's really annoying when in a game where your character just gets stronger and there's no indication of you getting better as a player. You just you have a bigger sword. So it's easier because you have a bigger sword. And like in this game, it's like your skills are constantly evolving. You're constantly getting better at the game. And by the end of the game, you go back to the early areas and they're a complete joke. Not just because you're stronger, because you're a better player. And that's really important. And that's what Hollow Knight really, really nails. So that's what I had for game design. You got anything else?
I think that pretty much does it for me too, because like just the movement's so fun and like just like as you get more skills, the game just becomes that much more like incredible.
Yeah, totally. Art style. I mean, come on, man.
Fucking love it.
Awesome.
Oh my god,
it's awesome.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. All hand drawn, scanned directly into the game. It actually shows every single enemy, every single area. I used the word generous earlier, Mickey. I'm gonna say it again with the art style. It feels like they put so much love into the way everything looks.
So absolutely. Cool. Like every each character design is so unique. Like you don't have like a problem distinction like who is what. Everything pops pretty well, even though it's like a pretty dark game. Like it's like you don't really struggle with like seeing anything, which I find super valuable.
Yeah, and each zone is its own like primary color. Like Green Path is green. The Forgotten Crossroads is kind of a grayish blue. The like Crystal Peaks is like pink, you know, and then like the City of Tears is like this dreary blue, right? Like, and then
and then Deepness is like black,
like darkness, yeah. And then the Ancient Basin's kind of like brown, or no, the Ancient Basin's like black and white, but Kingdom's Edge is like brownish and yellowish, you know. So it's like each major area in the game actually has its own unique color palette. It has its own like set of completely unique creatures. Like whenever you go to a new area in Hollow Knight, all of the enemies are going to look and feel completely different. They're going to attack you differently. They're going to interact with you differently. And they're just going to have a different color palette. And they're just going to look different. Like the fact that you go to one area early on in the game, you're like, wow, there's a lot of different enemies here. Hundreds of enemies later, there's still different enemies. Like there's so much variety in the way that they not only operate, but how they look. It's so impressive. That's like one of the biggest like compliments I can give. It's absolutely impressive.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed like because one of the achievements is filling out the Hunter's Journal. Because
did you do all that?
I was trying to get the 112%. So I didn't do it. I did do it. It was actually really fun. Like trying to fill that out. Like because in order to like fill it out completely, you have to beat enemies a certain amount of times in order to like fill them in the database. Like once to actually put in the journal, and then you have to do it like 10, 15, 20 times depending on like how frequent the enemies appear to like give you more tips. Like it gives you more info on each of those creatures, which is really cool. And like it'll tell you like what they're weak against and stuff like that once you beat it kill those enemies enough times. Right. Trying to remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, I was just saying like I really enjoyed just going through like learning about each and every one of these enemies. There's like 120 enemies in this game. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really really cool. And what I'm blown away by is like just how much care seriously went into the animations and the artwork behind all of them. And even like what's cool is it's got this like cartoony type animation that also is just like so organic feeling. Like the animations when like someone swings a blade, it feels like a cartoon. Like it doesn't feel like video gamey. It feels like you're watching like a truly hand-drawn, hand-animated cartoon or something like that. It's so cool. I mean, I seriously just love the animations and the art in the game. And yeah, that's all I got for art style. Sound design. Man.
Oh my god.
The music is so good. Like everything I just said about art style for each zone applies to the music and the sounds of every single zone.
It makes you feel like you're really there. Like I think each zone's music just like perfectly like finishes off the setting.
Yeah. Like what's your favorite one? Favorite track, favorite zone?
Favorite zone, I think would have to be I honestly think it's Deepness.
Oh, really? That's the creepiest one by far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it does the best job conveying what it wants to do. And like I fucking hated traversing it, but I fucking love it because of that.
Yeah, it's like just all creepy, crawly noises.
It evokes those emotions out of me.
Yeah.
During a playthrough, like because I'm someone who I fucking hate spiders. I got jump scared shit ton of times going into this because like you'll take down some enemies and then like they'll be revived as a spider and it's fucking disgusting and the sounds they make is awful. And then like if you forgot about if you didn't like check to make sure they went down and you just continued on because like it's a pretty dark place because it narrows your vision, especially. And if you don't have like a little light trinket that you're supposed to buy from the shop,
I didn't. Did you not have it when you got there?
The first time I did, yes. I went down and I tried to navigate through it dark, like I would like fucking Pokemon without having flash. Like, oh, I can navigate through this without it. Like, I'll be good enough. And I was like, nope. I wasted like 10 deaths trying to get through. I'm like, okay, I give up. I need to actually get the light thing.
Yeah. Dang, I can't believe you did that. You're ballsier than me by far.
But yeah, if you kill one of those enemies, then move on without trying to double tap it, essentially, you'll still hear them wake up or like, oh god, oh no, and they move fast.
Yeah, I hate those. You're like, oh, and they're just they're just always spawning, and yeah,
it's not every single one like that will spawn from its corpse. Like it's just like one every 2, one every 3 will end up reviving. So like you're not even sure. Like you'll watch a body, I'm like, Are you getting up?
Yeah.
No. No. Okay,
that.
I can move on.
Yeah. My favorite's probably either City of Tears or Kingdom's Edge. I love the music in both of those places.
I definitely love the City of Tears. Like, I think because like I think it really fits like the medieval settings.
Yeah.
To where like it feels so like majestic. You feel like you're in a place of royalty. Like when I am there.
But it's sad. There's like such a melancholy to it at the same time.
Exactly.
You know?
Like you could feel like the history that was there.
Yeah.
But like it's just devastation now. Like it still wants to show like how great of a place it was, but it's a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
I think it does a great job conveying that.
Seriously, and it's so cool too because like for this first several hours of the game, the City of Tears is like really built up. Like there's signs pointing to it, there's people telling you that you got to go there, there's like this build up to it, and then when you get there and you hear that first initial track, it's awesome. I'll probably insert some of the music for Hollow Knight during this segment here, and then Kingdom's Edge is great too because that's like you truly feel like you're at the Kingdom's Edge. Like it's kind of empty. It's like ancient looking. The music is so kind of like distant and sad and like very empty feeling, if that makes sense. And the stuff that you discover in the Kingdom's Edge is really interesting lore wise. And the enemies that you fight are really cool too. So I feel like it's just like this awesome combination of stuff for the Kingdom's Edge. And then the other thing too, in terms of sound design, the environmental noises, the enemy noises, just the bug noises are really awesome. Mm-hmm. The crawliness, the sound of like shells cracking, the sound of bugs getting squished when they do get squished. All of it totally fits the bug theme that they're going for here. Like all the sound design from like the way it sounds when you swing your nail and you hit an enemy to the way it sounds when, you hit water and like things are crawling around. It's all totally fitting to the bug theme, which I love so much. And dude, favorite track. Well, what's your favorite track, Mickey? Oh, wait, I asked you that already. It was Deep Nest?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we asked favorite environmental
track.
No,
you said environmental.
The favorite music period. Do you have one?
I think I have to think a little with this
It's the final boss fight for me of the Hollow Knight. Just like when you first see him, and you break him out of his chains.
I think fighting Hornet might be. I really love Hornet's fights.
So good. Yeah, Hornet has a good theme. Like Hornet's songs are really good. Okay, moving on to the NPC award. Mickey, who you got?
Ooh, I'm stuck between two, but I think I'm gonna go with Zote.
Okay,
I fucking love Zote.
Yeah.
He's
you want to explain who
funny.
Zote is?
So, Zote is an NPC that you'll find throughout Hallownest, going from place to place. And you first find him. He's swinging. He's like captured. He's swinging from something like
he's a loser.
He's a big fat loser. He like doesn't know how to do anything on his own, but he talks a big game. It's so funny. And like. When you first meet him, he's about to be killed by some kind of a bug, like a mantis-like thing.
Yeah.
And so like you have the option to save him. If you just leave him, he just dies. He doesn't appear anywhere else.
You saved him though, right?
I saved him. Yeah. I did save him. And you end up finding him in several different places and like being in like just bad situations, and like you pretty much bail him out every single time. He's like, "Oh, what the hell were you doing? I was just about to win the fight.
I didn't need saving. Come on." Yeah, he's funny.
It's so great, and then it all comes together when you find him in all the places in Hallownest. He goes back to the first little village that you walk into, and he's talking with another girl, like a little chubby bug, which. If you kept going to her house, like she writes in her journal how like she loves like the knight, the hero, blah blah. She's like
that
going on how much that saved her. Like she raves. So like it's assumed that she's talking about you because like the descriptions fit you perfectly. And then a chamber opens up in her house, to go into her basement, and then you just see a fucking statue of Zoe.
I didn't even get that in my playthrough.
No fucking way. She was like gushing on about Zoe this entire time because Zoe, like, he talked himself up so much to her, and so like she takes everything he says seriously.
Even though you saved her, even though you literally saved her life, and Zoe's life, and
Zoe's life, yes.
Pretty
so
great.
then, if you hit it with the dream nail, you go into her dreams and you fight her imagination of what Zote's like. So
is he strong?
He's super strong. And then you can find him like literally like 10 to 15 different times. And like it starts off calling him like the Magnificent Zote. And after you beat him and you fight him again, it adds another word. The like let me get all of Zote's titles.
The Super Magnificent Zote, or dude, that's all. I totally missed this side story. The
side story is actually great. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Well, hang on. Do I want to say mine or do I want to wait for you to finish up here? Because I think I got a hot one for you. Hot NPC award.
You can go with yours.
Okay. So at first I wrote down the Elder Bug. I don't know why. I love that guy. He's like the first NPC that you encounter in the game. He's kind of just like the old bug that lives in the town who's just like, yeah, we're all dead here. It's not that great here, blah, blah, blah. But he's not my NPC. I realized the best NPC in the game is the stag, the last stag. So in the game, there's a series of fast travel stations that are called stag tunnels, which again, awesome bug theme. Basically, there's this stag beetle that you can ride. He's kind of like a horse.
He's pretty much a horse. He's the last one of his kind.
Yeah, he's the last stag that's alive, and he is like navigates through the stag tunnels under Hallownest to basically. He's the fast travel system in the game. There's like a dozen stag stations throughout the entire map that you can fast travel to, and then when you talk to him, he just has so many great lines of dialogue. There also is a side quest for him where you actually go to his stag nest where you see all of the dead stags and you see that he truly is the last one. And one of my favorite things that happens is there's a tram in the game because it's sort of like medieval, but there's also a little bit of technology. There's literally a mechanical tram that takes you from one area to another, and you find a pass to ride the tram. And if you talk to the stag while you're holding it, he'll say, "That pass you hold, is it not for the ghastly machine, the tram? I hope you're not thinking of riding on that grotesque contraption. The thought a mere machine could attempt what a stag does. Foolish, very foolish." Like it so works within the world of this game that's so bug oriented that it's like, oh no, you don't want to use that thing. Like he's also like wants purpose in life as the last of his kind that transports people. It's incredible. I love that line.
Yeah, that was actually my other option with the NPC world was the stag. Yeah. Also, did you not see what happens at the stag nest?
Isn't there's like an egg there, right?
Yeah. There's a hatched egg.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So like it implies that he's not the last one anymore. There is another one, and that the rest can continue to live on.
The lore is so good. It's so incredible. Yeah. Okay. So what are Zote's names? What do we got?
Okay, Zote's names. So I think it makes it for a total of 11 names that you get. So it starts off with the Invincible Zote, then goes the Invincible Fearless Zote, then the Invincible Fearless Sensual, Mysterious, Enchanting, Vigorous, Diligent, Overwhelming, Gorgeous, Passionate, Terrifying, Beautiful, and Powerful.
Are you serious?
And then after you beat every single one of these, you do get something. I forget what you get.
Do you get a charm?
It's a completely useless item. It's literally just for bragging rights.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I didn't even do it because it wasn't needed for the achievement.
Yeah.
But
that's still funny. Yeah, that's still incredible that they did that. I love that.
But you can kill him endlessly.
Okay. Well, good to know. I'm glad that they had a purpose for him because I totally missed that side quest for Zote. I thought he was just comic relief in like Deep Nest and stuff.
It just changes the appearance of the statue that you find after you beat it 10 times.
Okay. That's cool. Companion piece pick. Mickey, what do you got?
I'm just gonna go with the easy one. I'm gonna go with A Bug's Life.
Okay, I like it. Okay, Bug's Life, great. When's the last time you saw A Bug's Life?
Probably when I was in high school.
Really? Okay, so at least 10 years, over 10 years.
It's been over 10 years since I've seen A Bug's Life.
Okay, that's probably the same for me. I really liked that movie when it first came out. I remember that and Ants we had on VHS, and I got very confused because they're both
they're very similar.
Yeah,
I thought they were the same movie for the longest time.
Yeah, same here. And like, yeah, Bug's Life is great. Do you remember Ants very well? Because that movie's really dark. That movie's like
Ants, no, but Bug's Life I still remember pretty well.
Yeah, Ants has like cussing in it. There's like a lot of death. There is. Yeah, they fight the termites, and then like homeboy dies, and his head. Do you remember this scene?
Are they racist?
It's like it's kind of like it's war for war's sake. It's not like a racism thing. Like the ants just fight the termites literally for fun. That's like the quote kind of thing. And then one of them, like Sylvester Stallone, is like a voice actor as one of the ants, and he dies in the war. And like the main ant finds his severed head, and like he
God,
he talks to his severed head. This is a kid's movie.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it was a crazy movie, honestly. I can't believe this is all like coming back to me.
I do not remember this movie at all.
We got to do a review on it for the pod and rewatch.
Would have been a great April Fool's episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. My bad, Mickey. My companion piece pick is the movie I think I've talked about on this pod before, Mad God, the 2021 stop motion horror masterpiece, in my opinion, by Phil Tippett. Mickey, I'm going to give you this is a really solid horror movie. It's got like very little dialogue in it. It's stop motion. It's like super dark and scary and weird. I'm going to give you the log line for it, all right?
Okay.
The assassin travels through a nightmare underworld of tortured souls, ruined cities, wretched monstrosities forged from the primordial horrors of the unconscious mind.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's Mad God, 2021. It's available on Shudder, which is a horror movie streaming service. That's where I watched it. Very, very, very cool movie. Favorite moment? What you got, Mickey?
Favorite moment? I think it would have to go to the broken vessel fight. I think yes. I that might be my favorite fight in the entire game.
Why
and
so?
Then you also get double jump right after it.
Yeah.
And which that like evolves the movement of the game so much.
Yeah.
Because
what do you like about it?
I just think it's the most difficult fight.
Yeah, it is hard. It is very hard.
And it's very rewarding once you actually do beat it. Because there are two variations of the fight. Because like you beat it and then you hit it with the dream nail, and then you have to fight the dream version too.
The dream version is so
fucking hard.
Yeah,
oh my god.
The dream version, I did do that for one of my Dream Warrior fights. Just I really wanted to knock that one out. That and then the False Knight dream version.
The False Knight dream version, like when I was
doing no business being that hard.
When I was taking on the Pantheon, I thought I was fighting the dream version of it. I was like, oh, I'm terrified. I'm not winning this. That was so fucking hard. And then I realized it's just the regular False Knight. I'm like, oh, this is easy.
The regular False Knight is a joke, but the dream version is hard. The Broken Vessel is hard, and then the dream version of the Broken Vessel is very hard. I like the Broken Vessel fight aesthetically. I think he's one of the coolest bosses.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And he just looks awesome. And like, that's when the game starts kind of revealing who you are. Cause like the Broken Vessel is literally you. He looks like you, except he has a cracked skull and he has like the infection coming out of him. And he's called the Broken Vessel. So at that point in the game, you may not really fully understand the lore yet. So you're like, wait, why does this guy look like me? Why is he called the Broken Vessel? And why is he so strong? Like, what is this? You know? And it's like, it's a cool moment story-wise, and he's a great boss. I'm with you on that one, Mickey. My favorite moment is when I first saw the City of Tears. Like I said, the first couple hours of the game, you're kind of building up to go to the city. There's a giant wall that has it sealed off. And then you finally go into the city, and the music kicks in. The reason it's called the City of Tears is because it's constantly raining on the city. Like, the city is just in a constant perpetual state of rain because there's a lake that's above the city. And you do find that lake at one point, which I thought was a really cool touch. And who's the dude that you're always seeing who has the mask and he's like the servant of one of the dreamers?
Oh, I forget his name, but like he just seems like a wanderer, like the entire game.
He's cool. I liked him a lot.
He's a dope guy. Yes.
Yeah, he's a cool NPC because you just constantly see him. He's like a typical Souls NPC where you like just see him throughout the world, and he's kind of living his own adventure through this whole thing. And you see him before you go into the City of Tears, just like sitting on a bench, and he's just like, yes, the city, like. to think that we
he just gives you like
so cool.
a bit. He just gives you like a bit of lore, like for like each new area.
Yeah,
because like you can find him pretty much every single area.
Like most zones, yeah, he's kind of just there chilling and just like gives you, yeah, exactly, just a sick quote. So I love that so much. Seeing it for the first time, just open the world up, and then that's not even the midway point of the game. Like you feel like you do fight your first big boss there, which was the Soul Master. Like shortly after you get to the City of Tears, I feel like that's the first like big boss for me. I mean, you could sequence break, but if I can't really compare it because you never played Super Metroid, Mickey. But this would be like the Kraid or something. This is like the first giant boss of the game, like out of like a big 4 or 5.
I think my first big boss was the Mantis Lords, actually.
Oh, the Mantis Lords technically come after.
Yeah, I think my first one was the Mantis Lords.
I think, again, there's no set way to play the game, but if you do... Yeah, Mantis Lords are technically optional for a bit, because you can get the Mantis Claw before that. But anyway, we're not here to discuss the giant sequence breaking map of Hollow Knight. It would take us hours to do that. Nitpicks. I'll just say, the game is hard. That's it. I mean, that's not really a nitpick. It's just, that's the only thing I can really say about the game to talk slightly about it in a negative way. I think I've known a lot of people that have tried this game and given up either on like the Mantis Lords, shout out Orion, or given up like on, certain like midway through the game because of a boss that was difficult. Hey, challenging things are fun. Challenging things are cool. Challenging things are a good thing for us. So that's my counter to the nitpick. What you got for nitpicks, Mickey?
I think my biggest nitpick is that you need the fucking compass as one of your charm slots.
Yeah, that is annoying.
I think that's so annoying. Like, just
if you're a scrub, Mickey, you do. If you see the pros play it, they don't even need it.
Just give me the fucking compass.
Yeah, yeah. The map.
But like towards the end, like I was able to navigate without using the compass. But like when I'm like trying to explore, because like I barely remember because it's been like 4 years since I played the game. Like I'm trying to remember everything and like trying to realize, oh, am I at this part of the map? Like just make it easier for me. Just fucking give me the goddamn compass.
Yeah. The way the map works is really interesting because you have to like. Well, when you explore an area that you haven't been to before, you don't unlock it on the map until you sit at a bench. And then you don't see where you're at on the map unless you have a compass equipped, which takes up one of your charm slots. So, yeah, that also
doesn't even work until you buy the map from
the guy. I forget his name.
I forget his name. Zonifer, something like that.
Conifer is his name. And then you also need to buy the compass and the
quill from his wife.
The quill, yeah. So there is some annoying like limitations on the way the map works.
I'm fine with those. I'm perfectly fine with those.
It's just being able to see yourself that you're annoyed with. Mm-hmm. I get it. Okay, rename this game. I don't have a ton. The thing I will say is I think it would have been cool if this game was called The Pale King or just called Hallownest to reference directly the lore of the world. Coincidentally, The Pale King is also a book by one of my favorite authors, David Foster Wallace.
I think The Empty Vessel would be pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. The Empty Vessel, I like that. I like that a lot. I wonder now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like The Pale King might be a reference to the novel in Hollow Knight. I'd have to ask Team Cherry. Have to get an interview with them. Yeah, I like that. Okay, Empty Vessel, we got Hallownest, and we got The Pale King. Pretty good choices. Okay. Last question for you, Mickey. We ask this on every single podcast episode. Would you play other games from this developer?
Come on. We've been counting down to Silk Song for the longest time.
I know. We need that game yesterday. I absolutely need to play Silk Song. If honestly, it's supposed to be a completely new setting. Because huge spoiler alert, also, which we didn't talk about. At the end of Hollow Knight, the Hollow Knight dies. So
yes,
The main character that you play as.
Not in both endings, but like in the Radiance ending, he does die.
He gets imprisoned in the
he gets imprisoned in the other one because he just goes to New Hollow Knight, and the Radiance goes in him, and then now he's sealed.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a good ending for the main character after that. But the new game you're supposed to be playing as Hornet, which looks really cool. You're supposed to have a lot more movement options in it as well. It takes place in a new setting. The initial looks of the game look awesome. We just need to get it.
Absolutely.
I'm
definitely down. Just come over and we just both play together.
Bro, yeah. When this comes out, we're putting every other game on hold and we're playing this for the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Final conclusive thoughts on the game. The game is an absolute masterpiece. Like I said, the moment I finished it, I was jealous that I was jealous of people that are going to get to play this game for the first time, and I immediately look forward to the day where I would forget enough about it to be able to play it fresh again. Luckily, that came about 4.5 years later, almost 5 years later, when we played it for the podcast. And I just cannot recommend this game enough. Get it on Switch. It's great on Switch because it's portable. It's lightweight. It's easy to. It doesn't have a problem running, and you can play it in the car. You can play it on your breaks at work. It's a good time.
Like me playing it about 4 years later, like I definitely forgot like a lot of the stuff about the original game. Like I thought that I hadn't done the King's Crest quest line.
Yeah,
getting both pieces.
Me too.
Of the and like when I was first playing, I was like, oh, I didn't do this yet, and then I realized like I couldn't because I did do the first ending where you don't fight Radiance. I'm like, oh, I missed something.
Right.
So I went back through it and then realized, oh, it was the King's Crest that I needed to do in order to be able to get to Radiance. Because I did Radiance on my first playthrough by accident. I didn't try to, but I did do it.
Yeah. If you there's like a point in the game where you realize you could fight the Hollow Knight, and then you're like, wait, but there's still some stuff I haven't explored yet. And if you keep kind of going deeper, then you do find like the hidden storyline and stuff. Mickey, final conclusive thoughts on the game?
It's literally just a fucking masterpiece. It's such a great game. I cannot recommend it enough. Like Hollow Knight is just such a fantastic game, which like if unfortunately it's not a casual game. It is very difficult to get through this game if you're like not that big of a gamer. You're not going to be able to get through the game. I would just recommend like watching playthroughs of it. So you can appreciate the world of it. I
think the game, I appreciate the aesthetics of the game, the music of the game, the world, the story, like the small team that was able to do so much, the generosity in the art of the game. Like I love everything about it. It does suck, that it is prohibitive in a way because it is challenging. So not everybody's going to get to see the entire game, which makes me sad. But I do think that the challenge of the game is very fun. And I think that overcoming challenge is something that's really good that we should all go for. I mean, the Souls games, like anything that FromSoft makes, those are prohibitively challenging, and those are some of the most beloved games in the last 10 years, 20 years. So I wouldn't say that that's like a point against it, but it does mean that less people get to enjoy it, which is a shame. All right, Mickey, let's rate the game. Right. We are going to give this game a score out of 10 after I count down from 3, and that'll give us a score out of 20, which will be the score for the game here on TFP. Mickey, 3, 2, 1.
10.
Absolutely. Perfect score,
no surprise.
Perfect game,
no
surprises. This receives a perfect 10 out of 10 from both of us, giving it the coveted 20 out of 20 score, joining the pantheon of just a few games that have actually earned that on this podcast. So very cool. Hollow Knight, Mickey. Hollow Knight, goddamn. So good. Dude,
we literally talked about this for an hour, and we had a very short intro, too.
I know. I know, and I could talk about it more. I'm looking forward to 4 or 5 years from now when I'll be playing Silksong for the second time, because hopefully Silksong comes out like now. Silksong comes out this year, so we get to play through there, we review it, and then we play it again in 4 or 5 years when we forget enough about that game. That'll be very cool. So
we'll see you guys in 6 to 9 months when we're done playing through Silksong.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there'll probably be a lot of fans of TFP, like Discord members, that are going to be playing Silksong too. So I'm sure that people are going to know what we're thinking about it all through the playthrough.
Like my biggest prediction is like the next announcement for Silksong we get the game just released.
Is the game?
It is released. Like
that's
the
a
game
good prediction.
will come out. That is my prediction for it.
I'm with that. I think that's right. So if you like this episode of the podcast and you like Hollow Knight, feel free to follow us anywhere that you can follow us on social media. The best place to reach us is actually to go to our website, thanksforplaying.live, where you could find the link to our TikTok, Instagram, Discord. Check out our YouTube at Thanks for Playing Pod. You could find that on our Discord. You can find that on our link tree, which is also on our website and all social media platforms. Mickey, we're making some awesome exclusive YouTube content in the future.
I have a highlight video of me beating the Pantheon of the Masters.
Yes.
That was a great video.
That's a great video.
I had a great time going through that, and I've been streaming the rest of all my Pantheon runs on our Twitch. We just moved around our stream schedule a bit. So I think you're
Wednesday.
On Monday.
I'm gonna be on Wednesday. I think Matt took this time slot tonight.
Yeah,
he's actually streaming right now.
Matt's streaming right now. Yeah, as we're recording tonight.
Yeah. So
Abel's Tuesdays.
Yes, we have Abel. MLB The Show on Tuesday. He broke records on the last stream. He killed it. Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun stream. I can't wait to watch the one tomorrow. Anyway, guys, thanks for checking out the episode, and look forward to talking to you guys on Discord, and looking forward to the YouTube comments on Mickey's Pantheon video with Hollow Knight. This has been Thanks for Playing. Catch you next time.
Skibbity bop.